to your next coach you got a chance to talk to?
Yeah, no, we'll just head to the other side of the oldest rivalry in Texas. You talked about it, this Lufkin Panthers. They didn't necessarily have the start they wanted to all the way back at the start of the season, losing to Longview, and then they rip off three straight, lose in their district opener, and then get a win on a bye week last week, but they get that district opening win against Westbrook in overtime. During that game, the kicker for Westbrook, I apologize, I don't know his name, but he's got a boot on him. He kicked a 50-yarder to send it to OT, which, especially at the high school level, even in
Yeah,
college and the pros, that's an impressive thing. Well, pros nowadays, you see them booting it from 65 plus.
60
So,
exactly.
so, exactly. But, for a high school kid to be booting it 50 yards accurately, getting it down the field and be able to get it through the uprights is just an impressive thing. Still able to get the win, though. Lufkin is to get that, district opening win. They had a bye week last week, so able to, get back to some of the fundamental things that maybe, that Coach Abseck, whenever I spoke to him earlier this week, had said that, they were kind of lacking, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The offense that we saw, in those first three wins that they had wasn't necessarily what we saw in these last couple of games. And, looking to get back to that. And then obviously heading on the road against Baytown Sterling this week, it's going to be, a tough test. They got all these Houston teams that are in their district, obviously, with the
Yeah,
district realignment and Coach
yeah.
Quick last season ago, I believe with, getting, I believe they were going to all the Dallas
They were
teams
going out
up there
west.
having
They were
those.
going way west
Oh
is where
yeah,
they were headed. Yeah.
Well, let's hear
yeah,
from
no,
the
just having to switch about that.
Lufkin head coach, and take a listen to see what he has to say.
Well, one, they play really hard on both sides. Coach Anthony and his staff have done a really good job their first year there of getting these guys to buy in and play hard and play together and believe in what they're doing. And so they play hard. He's a really good defensive coach, and so he's going to have them in position. And then those guys are flying around. They've got two really good ends and really good corner, two actually that are solid, really good corners. And then I like their nickel. So, I mean, they've got a number of guys over there who've made plays and played well for them over the course of the year. And then offensively, they're going to pound the rock, and their tailback's the second leading rusher in the district. And, he's a good running back who can do multiple things, running, catching the ball out of the backfield. But he's tough. And so they're going to try to grind it out, minimize the possessions that you have in a game, and then you've got to take advantage of them. So big deal for us will be to come out and get on the board early and keep going.
Well, the game plan, as we just heard, is take advantage of comes your way. Don't settle for field goals. Put sevens on the board, Ryan.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's no better way to win. That's the most points you can score on a
Yeah.
drive. It's touchdown, extra point, obviously the 2 point conversion, but you can't settle for field goals, especially when you get down into the red zone, goal to go situations, things like that. You got to be able to punch it into the end zone. And Lufkin has, they've struggled with that over the past couple of weeks, looking to kind of get back to that. I think the bye week's definitely going to be helpful to that. What's also helpful is even though, you do have a new head coach in Carl Abseck, it's not like he's new to the district. He was in it
Right.
last year, head coach
Barbers
over at
Hill.
Barbers Hill.
Yeah.
Barbers Hill, I can't believe I'm forgetting that, but he was in the
He's the
district
one for
last
the
year.
beard.
So exactly, but but point still stands. He was in the district last year. He knows these teams, and you got to get a win here, especially considering that this district has been pretty good so far. A couple of really good teams, a lot of teams at 1-1 right now in district play. So trying to kind of separate yourself from the pack to make it back to back playoff appearances for the Lufkin Panthers.
Well, and the thing about the Panthers, they've I'm not really I'm not sure what kind of team they are. They're a Jekyll Hyde kind of team because early on they came out strong. They always play Longview strong. And that's I would think that'd be just enough experience to be able to be more competitive than they have been, and for Coach Asbeck to go home and get beat, or for Barbers Hill and get beat. I think I was kind of surprised that I don't know if he got the guys jumped up and amped up to say we're going to do this for coach, and then maybe he hasn't got to them to that point yet. But from this point on, he's going to need to do that for them to get a shot to be a factor of the playoff scenario.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's definitely going to be, got to get these guys ready to go the back half of the season, and they did. Lufkin, it was a story going back to whenever they got bounced from the playoffs last year. We knew how much talent they were losing, how much guys that were losing to graduation, losing to the college, losing to the college ranks, especially in the Division One Power Four ranks. Evan Young going all the way up to East Lansing to go be safety up there at Michigan State, and then of course Zion Williams, big old defensive lineman. He was a spotlight player last year. Going to LSU, going to Baton Rouge. So they lost a lot of talent, but there's still a lot of really good talent on that team, and definitely looking forward to see what they have to do, not just this week against Baytown Sterling, but for the rest of the season to potentially make it back to back to the playoffs.
Well, we're in week 8, and this is the time to make the move, time for separation. Anything else you